Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in.
Okay, so real quick, Natascha, let's say you're at a farmer's market on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You're talking to a vendor there, and they're like, what do you do? Like, who are you? What's your story? Give me, like, your 30-second elevator pitch. Like, what are you telling them?
I'd be like, hi, my name is Natascha Bessez. I'm an international recording
Wait,
artist.
you got to say how do you say that again?
Bessez.
Bessez.
It's French.
Okay.
I like
okay.
that.
Wow, I've been mispronouncing it this entire time.
What have you been
Ooses.
saying?
What
is he saying?
Listen, I can't pronounce names for shit. So, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
because you got Marc Colcer.
I probably would have.
Which is so not Armenian.
Yeah, I know, because it's my dad's last name. But I would go with like, I don't know, Bessez.
That's pretty close.
Bessez.
I was going to change my last name to like a stage name of like Bessos, like Natascha Bessez.
Ooh, that's sexy.
Because people will remember it, and they
Yeah.
know of Natascha Bessez or Natascha Bisou. Do you know what Bisou means?
Oh, I like Bazoo.
Because
Yeah.
Bisou is kiss in French,
Oh,
Isn't Bezos kiss?
in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like that you could like sign off like little
Bessos.
blow
Yeah, that's
kiss.
actually a cute idea. I didn't think about that.
Okay.
there it is. There it is.
But,
Okay, so back to the elevator
sorry.
pitch.
Okay, how old are you? What's your sign? Give me all that stuff.
I'm in my 30s. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm half French and half Chilean. Born and raised in New York City. I lived between Europe and New York up until I moved to California 7 years ago.
Wait, do you not give your full age? Your normal, your
Real name?
Guys,
Your real name?
no.
Why?
Not anymore. I decided this was
It's
the year
tough
I'm not
for
doing
us.
it anymore.
Why?
It's tough.
I'm in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, but here's okay.
That's why.
No, I understand that. People actually will not hire you if they find out you're
Yeah,
a
but
certain
I'm
age.
gonna give my
Yeah.
spiel. I'm gonna give my spiel. I think social
Go
media
for it.
changes that, and the reason why I say that because I tell there's so many times where I'm talking to women that are like in their 30s, whatever, and they're so hesitant to say their age, and I'm like, listen, here's the reality of it. If somebody is like, because people would assume you're probably like late 20s or something like that.
Yeah, I get
right?
late 20s.
Okay, so the way I look at it is, as long as you don't look old per se,
Yeah.
then who cares what your actual age is?
But some people are delusional about the age thing. Like I feel like I look 42.
Yeah, but it's a no, you do not.
But
That's
no,
crazy.
but I'm convinced. So then,
No,
like,
that's crazy.
so I'm
That's
not gonna,
crazy.
I'm not gonna like lie or try to go away. You know what I mean?
I just
but
think it's no one's business. At the end of the day, it's how you feel, it's how you look, it's how you portray yourself. Like if I'm gonna say this is how old I am, the majority of the time people are like, "Shut up, I don't believe you." So I'm like,
the reactions
okay.
are the worst.
And then it's like, all right, well, that's the reality.
Wait, why is it the worst?
The reactions are the worst. Like when I've said I'm just gonna say I'm 32.
Okay.
So when I have said that I'm 32, people will literally go, "No, there's no way you're fucking with me," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god." In what way? People like are very like they have a big response when I say my age.
I think just in our industry in general, for women who are either like in the entertainment world or in the modeling world or anything like that, it's really important for the perception of whatever you want it to be, you're correct. That's about it. You know, for me, I feel great at my age. I'm in my mid to late 30s. And I feel great for it. And I take care of myself. I think a lot of it has to do with genetics. A lot has to do with how you take care of yourself in your 20s. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a drug user. I've really been careful about, because my business really revolves around that, to kind of take care of myself in those ways. So I think that shows as you get older. And I think people who have enjoyed that in their 20s kind of realize that in their 30s. They're like, shit, now is the time for me to get like really on my health game and eat properly and understand, you know, the nutrition that I'm having. The people that are around you in your life, I think, are just as important as what you consume, how you consume it, the things you're watching, the things you're reading. Those are all part of your health, your physical health. Because for me, it all starts mentally. And if you're being, you know, abused in a toxic relationship or by toxic friendships or in situations that don't make you feel good, your body shows that. You feel that. I had physical pains in my body when I was in my toxic relationship. And as soon as I kicked him out of the house, my pain went away. I was in the emergency room because I didn't know where my pain came from. And I realized that that is completely 100% emotional. You know, people talk about diseases and where they come from or cancers or things. I think a lot of it has to do with, yeah, we're going to something different here, but has to do with your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, and then that shows physically. So health has nothing to do with your age. You can be really unhealthy in your 20s or really healthy in your 40s and 50s. It's about how you think, how you take care of yourself. So that's why when I say a number, it's like that doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit.
The only reason why I bring that up is just because I feel like, again, it's a flex to me if somebody takes proper care of themselves.
Yeah.
And so people assume you're younger, and then you actually give your age, and they're like, holy shit, you're older than I thought you were. And to me, I look at that and I'm like, everybody should take that as a compliment. I don't know if I can't tell people how they should take it,
Look,
but I believe they should.
You're also a man, so I feel like men, it's different. Like men want to come off older. It's almost like a good thing to look older.
No, but I'm taking the opposite because I never get assumed that I'm older. I love the fact that people, if somebody's like, oh, you're 24, 25, which I get all the time, I'm like, dude, I'll take that shit all day. Like, I don't want somebody to think I'm like 50. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what's the
you
like
being 50 is so cute.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. But
little Benjamin Button.
That's a massive jump. But but yeah, I don't mind somebody thinking that I'm younger and then I give my age. All it means is that I take proper care of myself, right? Because I look at it of somebody looking good per se by like society standards when you're 20 is not ultra difficult. You can take really shitty care of yourself and look good at 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
Fast metabolism, the whole nine, right? Still probably active from sports, all that stuff. The older you get, the more you actually have to take good care of yourself. You have to eat right, you have to sleep well, all these different things.
Totally.
So when you can say, I'm 30-some years old and I look the way that I do, that's a flex. I'm not saying it in terms of like from a cocky perspective, but it is a sign that you take great care of yourself. And so that's why I think age is a flex. And I know a lot of people don't look at it that way, but I'm like, dude, anytime you can say you're over the age of 30 and you take great care of yourself, you should flex your age because there are many people who don't.
I'm very proud of my age. I have no problem. Like if my friends in the streets, any kind of situation when they're like, how old are you? I'm like, boom. But I think when it comes to like work, it's very different. It's very different.
Relevancy too. Like I think with social media, everything like that, like for some reason people drop off. Like their interest all of a sudden reduces as soon as they find out you're 30. And I've noticed this like trend of when people announce 30 on their birth or on their Instagram accounts, all of a sudden engagement plummets.
That's so strange.
There is a thing to it. And I think a lot of people are more interested in the early 20s.
Wait, but that's because you're getting rid of creepy men. Because there are dudes.
We need them.
No. We simply
send me a rose emoji.
We simply don't. Those are the worst humans on this planet. The dudes who are obsessed with girls who are like near the age of 20 are
unwell.
But that was my demographic, so I'm feeling it.
Yeah, but like time to switch up demographics. Like
that is so
that
true.
demographic you never liked. So
that is so true.
I don't think I think it's a flex when somebody says they're in their 30s. If like for whatever reason, I don't know, if I were to be like, let's say I'm out somewhere and I meet a girl and she's like, I'm 23. I'm like, oh God, like you are
Get
so
away
young.
from me.
Yeah, like you are a child. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, again, I think it's a flex when somebody is in their 30s taking care of themselves the whole nine. And if you lose followers or whatever because of your age, to be fair, I don't think you're losing anything.
It has nothing to do with followers for me. Like for people that it's more of like the business sense of like when you're at a casting, when you are trying to get a record deal, when you're trying to be on a specific show or whatever that may be, you know, it's very like for American Idol, for example, the cutoff is 27 years old.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I cannot audition based off of the experience that I have, the talent that I have, because I'm over 27 years old. Like, I think that's just crazy talk.
That's gross.
Like,
but we
all
have to
of
get
that
rid
makes
of
no
that.
sense. Like, The Voice is probably one of the opportunities that people of all ages can perform at. So they have like the really like 40s and 50s. They're like, okay, well, because you're old, you can do it. It's like, no, what about people that have been busting their ass in their 20s and they actually have experience and talent to showcase to the world now?
Yeah.
As opposed to like 16-year-olds who are like, I sing in my bedroom and now you can finally hear me, you know, which is great. We have to do that. But I think as an artist, you don't know who you are until you've lived a little bit of life to be able to sing from your heart.
I think with that, though, I don't think a lot of people know that. Like, I don't think people know that you can't try out for American Idol if you're over the age of 27. So
Isn't that crazy?
To be fair, I think the more that you talk about that, the more likely that is to change, right? Because we've seen social platforms, we've seen, whether it's reality TV shows and things like that have had to change as society has grown and evolved and things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you bring up that subject and then somebody else like I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No, this is now going to be like the thing that I stand behind, like aggressively on social media.
Natascha needs to audition, so we need to move it up.
But not even like you specifically, just like a weird broad thing of just like American Idol needs to raise it. People are like,
crazy.
You do not need to be singing. Like, I'm the least talented person when it comes to that, but like, I'm going to be passionate.
I
At a time of
appreciate
politics,
that. I appreciate that. You know, it's funny. I was talking to my girlfriends yesterday when we went shooting. They were former pageant queens.
I love that you went like this.
Boop, boop, boop.
Like you showed a little finger again when you did that.
Well, because
like
when
to
she
be
told me she was
dramatic.
going shooting, I was like, are we talking guns or photo
shoot?
shoot?
Or like, oh, that's so fair.
Yeah.
That's what you. Yeah. So we went shooting, and that's another topic. I'm really excited to like learn new things and kind of find ways to protect myself and feel empowered in so many different ways that I would not be needing a partner for. You know, I can take care of myself in those ways that you would expect a partner to take care of yourself. But anyway, these were some pageant queens who would love doing pageants. Some were in it, some were constant. I'm a former beauty queen. I was Miss New York Teen USA in 2005, so years and years and years ago. But I was never really deep in the circuit, in that circuit. It was more like I saw it on TV and I was like, you know what? I can do that shit. I can do that shit. So I like auditioned. I guess you went for the casting.
Went for the crown.
You go for the crown. Yeah. And so I did that and I ended up winning. There was 250 girls. And I think just because of the fact that like a lot of those girls were over rehearsed, you know, it was nice to see someone kind of fresh and be like, this is just me. And this is kind of who I am. So anyway, in that sense, we were talking about how now that they've officially changed the age of Miss USA, because before the Miss USA girls, the age was, I think, 27 also, 26, 27. And now they've officially eradicated that completely. You can now be divorced woman, which before was not allowed.
Oh my God.
And you can be trans. So it was before you have to be a natural born woman. You cannot have been not married or divorced, no children, and under the age of 27 in order to even compete at all. So now they've changed all of that.
Strides.
So that's like major, but now everyone's like losing their minds over it. And I think two of the most recent queens just gave up their crowns. So it's like
the tea in there is real.
It's a lot of tea.
Yeah.
You're so lucky that when you get sing words, it sounds good.
Oh my God, I do that all the time. I'm sorry in advance.
No, I'm always like, I'm in traffic. And it's really bad, you know?
I can teach you how to work from your diaphragm.
Can you, for people, I guess, who don't know your background and whatnot, you were on the Bachelor's singing show? What was that show called again?
It's called The Bachelor Listen to Your Heart on ABC. Yeah, it was the spinoff that they had kind of for musicians, which was really exciting for me when I heard about it because I kind of been, I don't know if you guys believe in like the power of the universe, but I'm very much that kind of person who's like, if you put it into existence, like there will be a way that the universe tries to give it to you, you know? And I had just broken up with someone recently and I was like, you know what, give me a sign. I need to move on from this person. Give me a sign that I need to like do something for me and something different, something new. And I got a call from a casting agent. They're like, are you single? And I was like, yes, I am. They're like, amazing. Do you want to be on The Bachelor? And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not about competing with 20 other girls for a man. Like, that's not my energy. And I'm, it's just not my vibe. But they were like, no, that's not what this is. There's going to be 10 women and 10 men, and they're all musicians. And I'm like, wait, so I get to sing and there's going to be other musicians? And they're like, yeah. That's the vibe. And I'm like, I'm in. So they pitched it to me really well. And when I got there, you know, you start to realize you're like, oh, this is what we're doing now. You know, it's a TV show. It's a reality show. They have exactly what they want to happen, how they want it to happen. And you're a character in their show. They ended up having me, you know, we all meet at a hotel and they ended up having me wait a week later to come in. So I got in when everyone else did. But as they interview everyone, they're like, oh, we're going to have her cause some trouble.
Oh, you're to be like the bombshell.
I'm like the bombshell surprise to like fuck up people's relationships. That's cool, what they wanted me to do.
Just what
like,
you needed.
I was like, do I really need to be that girl? They're like, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
They're going to
love
love it.
Blonde. You're like, yes, this is your role.
Jesus. All right, here we go. So I waited a week until you know, obviously they all built their relationships. Everyone's best friends. They're all doing like kumbaya in the room. And all of a sudden I'm like, hi guys, I'm here. And they're like, this bitch.
Totally.
So that's how I started on the show. And I had to redeem myself through being like, I'm not here to ruin anyone's life. I'm just here to sing and find my love is really all it was. And so, yeah, that was The Bachelor's Listen to Your Heart. It was really beautiful. It was a great show. I got to sing great songs in front of great audiences. And we had judges. I think there was Kesha, Jason Mraz. We had a bunch of really great judges. Did you guys watch the show?
I'm going to be honest. During COVID, I watched so much stuff that I don't remember any of it.
Tiger King is all I remember.
Did you find love on the show?
I did not find love on the show. I don't know if the show was even intended to make us find love on the show. And, you know, I think they are. That's my point. You know, and the ones that they think they find love, it's like, I don't know if they even realize what they put themselves in to like.
Totally.
It's not reality. They're living in fantasy land. You know.
Yeah.
But look, some they work out. We have proof of some Bachelor shows where they're like married with kids and they're happy for 10 years. I think now it's just the intentions of when they go in are not the same as when they used to go in. So they had a different mindset. Values are different. Morals are different. Everything's different. When I got in, I was like really like, I'm going to find my guy. I was so looking forward to it. I'm still so hopeful. But I had kind of like said, I was like, oh, I want like a cowboy or like a country singer. Like that could be fun, you know? But I kind of get out and they show me all the guys and I was like, so are the other guys gonna come later? They're like, what other guys? I'm like, you know, like, are there others? They're like, you need to make lemonade with lemons that were giving you here. I was like, okay.
That's kind of dating these days. You're like, is this it?
Is this all we got?
Is this it? When are the other ones
What
coming?
else are we going to do with this? But I do refuse to make lemonade with the lemons that we've been given lately. So I'm holding out for the right thing. But regardless, it was a really nice experience. I think the problem with it was the experience levels on the show were so drastically different. Like there were those people that were in their living room playing guitar, being like, I want to sing. And then there's people like me who have done major TV shows, major stages, toured, professionally singing, you know, like I think it's a little different. And so when it came time to performance, I was very much like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we do it. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, no, guys, this is not only a singing show. We're on a TV show. We got to work our audience. You know, I don't think people understood that while they were in the show. And I think that's part of casting. They like that.
That's adorable, though. That's pure.
It's adorable.
That naivety is pretty.
But it's also, like, you know, they don't realize they're getting manipulated. You know, and they don't realize that the situation that they put themselves in and how it's either going to make them look good or bad. And so I think for me, just in general, my experience after being Miss New York, it kind of catapulted me in a lot of on-screen things. So I was on the show The Search for the Next Pussycat Doll. Do you guys remember the Pussycat Dolls?
I do.
Yeah, I don't remember this TV show. When was this?
Buttons,
that's the one. Yeah, you did it good. That was good. It was on CW11. They were looking for a new member. I think one of the girls was leaving or they were adding a girl. So I was on that show. I came in like top 9.
Ooh.
And you had to do like choreography and singing and dancing. And it was for, you know, all the girls. And it was great. But then after that, I think you realize as an artist, you know, as a musical artist, you realize what you like, what you don't like, the direction you want to go in musically, the one you're like, okay, this is not me. And so kind of from there, you know, things snowball, you know, people see you and you're like, okay, what else can I do that's going to help me grow as an artist? And I started doing EDM music and I was working with a lot of DJs. So I was doing top line writing and songwriting and basically the DJ gives you a track and you write over it, lyrics and melody.
Name a few DJs that you worked with, not in general. Just
name a couple you love. A lot of them in the Netherlands. I was living in the Netherlands for 3 years.
Cool.
And so we would just kind of, I'd get like a lot of DJ tracks and be like, okay, write something, and you'd send it back, and they're like, oh, we like this, we don't like this, and then it would mix and match, and you'd find the thing. That's kind of how it works now in the industry. Yeah, I've always kind of loved being on multiple sides of the music scene. Like, I think when you sing a song, you have to really believe what you're singing in order for the audience to believe what you're singing. So writing it's so important.
I'm curious, how did being on a reality TV show affect your dating life after it all wrapped up?
You know, I think we just got a bad luck moment for our show just because it was during COVID and a lot of people were invested in it, like the other reality shows I think that come out, like the other Bachelor shows. So post that, there was no dating. There was no talking. There was no touching. There was no nothing. Remember, like we were out. It aired right when COVID started. So, yeah, I was very, very single for a while after that. And I think once I started dating again, people forgot about the show. So it wasn't anything special. It was just me kind of getting back in there and meeting people.
What was your biggest, I guess, like misconception of what you thought being on a reality, because now you've been on multiple, right? Mm-hmm. So going on to a reality TV show, you obviously go into it with an expectation of what is going to happen and everything like that. I would assume the actual action of it ends up different than what you expected. So what is the biggest, I guess, misconception that people have about going on a reality TV show?
That it's real. I think people don't realize that it's completely produced, you know? There were so many moments there that, I mean, that's the thing. I think when you have people that are used to that type of world, you know, and that are used to cameras, that are used to producers, that are used to those, that they're used to edits, they understand where we're going with this, they can work it, you know, they can work it. I knew I had a role somewhat to play, you know, and I was like, okay, we're going to run with it. But I think a lot of people come on there being like, this is how they really feel. And this is the real situation. Like there was a scene that you can kind of look up on YouTube. It was a deleted scene from my show. And it was where I think I was talking to one girl and she had asked me like really nicely. She's like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, you know, God, I can't even remember what the premise was, but it was like, I got really jealous when I saw you talking to my boyfriend and I just want you to know, like, I really like him and da da da. And I was like, hey, I just got here. I'm just meeting everyone. I'm not here to take your boyfriend. I'm interested to get to know everyone that's in the house. Like, it's not personal. I'm not, you know, I'm really just being aware of my surroundings and I'm getting to know people and stuff. I was like, if anything happens where I feel a certain way, like we'll talk about it. You know, it's not an issue. And all of a sudden the producers are telling 3 other girls in the corner, they're like, look at Natascha talking to this girl. She is saying something mean or she's doing something mean and she's attacking her. You should go protect your girl. So they were like, oh my God, yes, we're going to go protect her. So the 3 of them like bum rush me and they come over. They're like, what are you doing talking to our girl? And I was like, hi, what's up?
This is my nightmare.
They're like, they're like, how dare you? Like, you just came in this house uninvited and you're trying to like take people. I was like, I'm literally just saying hi and we're having a really nice talk. Like, what's up? And this one girl like lost her mind on me. Because that's the thing. The producers, they put things in their head. They're like, Natascha's here to take your boyfriend. Kill her. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not here to take anyone's. I'm trying to find my own. And that's just the way it's going to go. And, you know, I think people believe that it's reality when it's not. It's not. It's very produced. And because I noticed that was happening, I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. They're really trying to create a scenario where I'm like the bad guy and I'm trying to defend myself, but I'm never not going to be me, you know? I'm never going to act out of character in ways like I was really calm and I was really confident in the sense of like, you think what you need to think to feel better. I'm going to let you know the truth of how I think and feel, and you take it as you will, you know? You can't convince people of how to perceive you. And I think that's such a big thing that I've learned, you know, throughout my career in the entertainment industry is like people will have their preconceived notions of who you are, of how you are, about what you want, about what you think based off of how you look, based off of what you do, based off of your talent, based off of your energy or whatever that may be. And it has nothing to do with you. You know, it has everything to do with them. And so the only thing you can do and control in life, which is something we all need to remember, is you can only control yourself. And if I can find a way to do that with like dignity and pride and know that this is my authentic self that I'm controlling, I have no issues with how you feel about what you think I'm doing, you know?
I admire that so much. To me, that mindset is just so like far-fetched. Like I'm way too much of a people pleaser. I need to be liked.
I used to be like that. And I think that
When did that pivot for you and how? Tell me.
I will. And to be honest, it's so natural to feel that way. And it's so normal to feel that way. And I think especially as women in an industry where it's very much about how you look and how you present yourself and what size you are and what scale you are and what color everything is, you can't not think about it. You know, after I was Miss New York, I was modeling for a while in New York, and it's always about like, oh, you have to be this height, you have to be this skinny, you have to be this. And you have to remember, like, especially in the pageant world, I always tell myself, like, okay, if you didn't make it to top 15 or top 10 or whatever, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the 4 people that are sitting in front of you that maybe you're like, that person reminded me of my ex-girlfriend and she broke my heart and I hate her and I can't have her move on. It's nothing to do with you. Like, you're perfect. We're all perfect. Like, there's absolutely nothing that you can do that's going to change anybody's mind, you know?
Yeah. I always have that thing, the fact that you edited with change your mind is such a thing in my head of like, I always want to be good enough that I am able to change your mind no matter what you went into it, whatever preconceived notion you have of me. Like, who I am shines so strongly that you leave being like, oh, they aren't like my ex that I hated, or they aren't
exactly
what I thought they would be like.
But that's the thing. You can't control that person and how they think it or how they feel. Maybe they're in their mood where like their ex like was yesterday cheated on them and they're like, I hate her so much. I don't want to see anybody with blonde hair. Whoever has blonde hair, I hope they die. Whatever that may be. And you're showing up being like, I just got my hair done. Or do you love it? And they're like, it's horrible. I hate it. You know, that
I cried. Be nothing next day.
That's my point. Like, and it's in so many different things, in businesses and in all, you know, in what you do and how you do it and your creativity. Like, it's so personal. Like, we're all here judging each other in so many ways that at the end of the day, like, you need to be so firmly believed in who you are as a person, and so like happy when you go to bed at night about what you've done and how you've treated someone, where you're like, that makes no difference to me if they feel a certain way. You know, I'll be on stage on shows. I sing in bands here in LA, and I do a lot of the private parties, corporate parties, a lot of things like that. And I work for an entertainment company here. And it's, you know, I'll have other singers that I've never met, and they'll come on stage and they'll just be like, are you going to sing the harmonies to that song? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to have a great show, right? You know, and I try and stay positive and sing it, and I do, and they're like, okay. All right, well, we'll see how you sing it later, you know, and it puts pressure on you because you're like, shit, now I can't fuck it up. I got to sing it properly and do it well. And as an artist, particularly, a lot of your performance is emotional, right? You got to be like good up here to give a good show, which is impossible because we're humans. I mean, there's always something going on in our day. But that's the thing. It's like the only thing you can do is do the best you can for you. And if they love you, every time I have that kind of energy when I step on stage, by the end of the show, they're like, we can't wait to sing with you again, you know, because it's like, I'm just being happy on stage doing what we love, you know, and it's in any business, like you model, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, you have to be loving that and be so happy with that. So it's like, if the photographer is like, I'm not loving the whatever today, you got to be like, oh, okay.
I think
I'm loving it.
Professional too. Like we've discussed that, how if I can be 10 pounds heavier than maybe they hope me to be, maybe I'm not as, you know, symmetrical, whatever, but I am always going to be on time. I'm always going to bring snacks, and I'm always going to become like over prepared and with a good attitude. Yeah. And that's all I can be in control of.
Right. And you don't even have to do that, because like that's also a little bit of a way of being like, I want to make sure they really, really like me. So I'm going to bring all these things and be on time, make sure they don't get mad at me and have no reason to. They shouldn't have a reason whether you're 2 minutes late and didn't bring cookies. You know, You should be like so happy, like, okay, I didn't have the time to bring cookies today, and I had a thing I had to take care of, and I made sure it was done, and I showed up, and you're going to like me anyway because I'm me, you know. And if you don't like me, that's so okay. That has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with, they're just not your people.
Well, I think people have to get over the fact that you're never going to be liked by everybody.
It's impossible.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like
sick.
We were talking about earlier, like the idea of like pursuing dreams, and whether that's going into music, whether it's modeling, acting, podcasting, writing a book, whatever you're doing. There's so many times that people stop themselves because of fear of what other people are going to think. Right?
Look, I always say in life you have two choices. You only have two choices in life. You either operate through fear or you operate through love. That's it. If you're like, I'm operating through love for this thing that I'm scared of, why am I doing it? Because I love it. Why am I doing it? Because I love how it makes me feel. Because I love the money it brings me. Because I love what I'm learning. Or you're doing it out of fear, where you're like, shit, am I going to fuck it up? Do they not like me? Am I not doing it right? Am I going to what? It's either or, and it's a choice you have to make, and that's what's crazy about it, because people don't realize that it's like, oh, it's natural. She's naturally. No, it's not. You don't wake up and you're like, it's a choice. Mm-hmm. You're like, today I'm going to do it with love, and I'm going to have that as a decision that I've made for my day, and whatever comes from it, that's what's meant to be. At the end of the day, I've learned personally through my personal experiences, and I've gone through some shit, where it's like, you cannot control outcomes of things. You can only do with what you have in front of you, and then move on to the next thing as it comes. And that means the decision you make in that moment is either love or fear. Yeah.
And I think also too, it's like, part of it is that people, as long as you're very self-aware and you take an honest look at like what you're doing, you'll understand, I think, most of the criticism that people have anyway, right? So even like taking this podcast episode, for example, there's going to be some people who go, man, this Mark guy was a little short and like cutting people off at the beginning of the episode, but it's like they don't understand that we're on schedule, and I have to make sure we stay on that schedule because all three of us were running a little bit late
Daddy
today.
Mark, as a making sure we're good.
Daddy Mark,
but it's like,
he likes that.
So like if somebody makes that comment today, I get it. Like, there's no part of me that's gonna be like, oh damn, like I can't believe they said that. It's like, no, I know I did that. Like, so to be fair, I'm self-aware enough to know that that's what I was doing in that moment because I had to. And so again, if you're pursuing something in the creative field or whatever, you have to be self-aware enough to know what could somebody say about this, right? when we started off doing podcasting, your first few episodes are not going to be the best. You have to get better
Just like
at
anything.
Yeah, you got to watch them. You got to see what you did that you really liked and what you can improve upon. If you're, we have to think about our conversations and go, are we carrying the conversation the right way? Are we making sure it's interesting to the audience? Things like that. If you're putting out a song, there's going to be certain people who love that. When you're working on EDM music, there's going to be certain people who love that music. There's going to be certain people who are like, I don't listen to EDM. Okay, cool. It's not for you, right?
Exactly.
So you have to be self-aware enough to know kind of what are some people going to say and to understand that not everything is meant for everybody.
Yeah.
Very few things in life are meant for everybody. So therefore, you have to expect that some people are not going to like what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with somebody disliking something that you're really passionate about and that you love, because again, nothing is for everybody. So again, if somebody's not a fan of it, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be a ton of other people who are a gigantic fan of what you're doing.
Yeah, but I also believe that a lot of the core base of that is just self-confidence, and self-confidence is such a difficult thing to really like put deep within your body, because you have all these things coming at you and you're like, okay, what can I do to change? What can I do to be better? What can I do to grow? Yeah, of course, you have to take into consideration criticism that is constructive, right? But then you also have to really understand, like, it's not about, self-awareness is, of course, incredibly necessary, right? But it's that self-confidence of like, okay, you don't like EDM music, you're a country fan. That's wonderful. Country music's wonderful. I don't sing country music, but I love to listen to it, or I love to experience people who love to experience country music. Like, it has nothing to do with you. And it's the same in every aspect of your life. And even in relationships, like if you have someone that doesn't want to be with you, you don't have to be like, well, it's because of No, you have so much self-confidence in that sense of like that grounding of whether you want to be with me or not, or whether this person doesn't want to be my friend or not. It has nothing to do with me or how I've treated you, because you treat them based off of how you feel is best for you, with the right morals and values. But it's that feeling of, it's not going to shake me. It's not going to change me. It's not going to create a void within me if you don't accept it, and that's why I think people are now so much on the self-love train of like, we need to fill our own holes and fill our own voids. And it's true. Like, without doing the work in order to actually take time to figure out who you are, what you like, what you want, you can be shaken up,
Yeah.
And that takes so much work and so much time. And people don't realize that it's not just like physical, it's very spiritual.
The most important aspect of self-awareness to me is assessing my motive.
Yeah.
So as long as I know my motive was good, I can give myself grace. And I think that always is what it ends up coming back to me, is when I'm feeling, yeah, there's something feeling like not right in my gut. I will look at the situation and I will go, okay, I was doing my best with what I was given. It came from a place of, or even like thinking about my past. I'm a big person of like, can't sleep because I'm thinking about what I did when I was 21. Beating myself up for like
everyone does
the
that,
cringe thing that I did when I was 24, like how I treated a past partner, things like that.
Yeah.
And then I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, it's not making excuses. It's not being arrogant. It's not thinking that I'm above, the rules that apply to a situation. But it's more the thing of like, okay, you were dealing with a lot of trauma at that point. You had just been cheated on. You had dealt with some family issues, some, eating disorder. There's so many things in life that led to that decision. It wasn't that I just decided to say fuck you to that situation or that person.
But that's the thing. I think you can only react based off of who you are in that moment, right? Yes. You cannot do something like, oh, I wish I could have in that time. And I say that to myself all the time. I'm like, had I known, I would have done this differently. Yeah. And, even with my own personal relationships, of things that are coming out of the woodworks now, I'm like, I should have, could have, would have. You cannot do anything unless you are realizing that in that moment you are doing the best you can with the tools you have, And it's the same thing with people. If they've done you bad, like if they've betrayed you, I've been betrayed. I can't hate that person for being like, they betrayed me and I should have known. They're only dealing with their traumas and their issues and their things based off of who they are today, based off of what they've learned today, based off how they've worked on themselves today. And that person's not for me. Yeah, that person's not for me. I don't want them in my life. I don't want anything to do with them based off of how they've treated me.
Yeah.
But you can't expect them to do something different if that's where they are in life right now, right? And I think that's with everything you say. You can't have those cringe moments like, oh my God, I should have done that. At 24, that's what you knew. That's who you were. That's what you dealt with. You're not the same person you were when you were 24, and you'll not be the same person that you will be when you're 44, And I say that to my best friend all the time. Her and I talk about it. She's like, God, we were so different in our 20s. And I'm like, I would never have let that happen today to me. Today, I don't even see myself hanging around the same types of people because I'm not attracted to that anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't even excite me. There are things that don't light me on fire the way I was like, oh, I want to do this because I want them to. Now I'm like, oh, I'm so good. Like, I don't even have the energy to go there because my energy is somewhere that is going to make me grow, and I think for me, I've just been on a bit of a spiritual journey the past few weeks, guys. But I really see it, whether you're religious or not religious, we all have our own view of like our higher power, right? Our higher being, if people have that view. But for me, it's like, I see it as like a Mario game, you're trying to get to the next level and get to the next level and get to the next level. And I think with each experience, you're like, okay, fuck, what do I got to do to get there? And then once you're on that next level, everything that was below, you're like, I don't relate to that anymore. I can't react the way I used to anymore. I'm not going to put myself in those positions that I did anymore because I'm here. And then when you get here, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe, and it's part of living, it's part of growing, it's part of understanding yourself. And I think that's where that confidence comes in, where you're like, it doesn't really matter how they are or how that person thinks or feels, because like you went back into your gut where you were like, this feels right to me. This feels good to me. And you're able to act on it now based off of how you have learned and grown.
So you're like, is your ambivalence to like things that used to bother you, is that your sign of leveling up? Is it just 100%? An instant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's because you realize you're like, I've learned from that. I took what I needed to grow, and it's like collecting the coins right in the game.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've collected the coins, I can go to the next level. You never it's funny, it just came to my mind. There's like when people are like, you expect life to go from here to here when you're growing, and then they're like, no, but it looks like this and it's like this. And for me, I really see it as like a spiral, you're growing, but you're growing in a spiral motion, yeah, you'll fuck up, but then okay, I'm going to make it better. But then you get better. But then when you fuck up here, it's not like when you used to fuck up here, you've grown this much, you're fucking up here, but you don't make the same fuck ups. You don't make the same thought patterns. You're not reacting in the same ways. You're not putting energy in those places. Like it's such a beautiful way of growing and seeing yourself and being honest with yourself and being gentle with yourself and being loving to yourself. Cause that's all acts of self-love, right? Mm-hmm. When you're like, fuck, I fucked that up. I should have done it different. I should have treated that person differently or whatever. Okay, next time I've learned how that feels for me, how I don't want to feel that again, and how I'm going to be better for myself in the future in doing that. So I really believe that when you know yourself, it's because you've raised your vibration, you've raised your frequency, you've raised those things that make you feel powerful and honest and genuine. And then people in your life are attracted to that. You're like a magnet to that based off your frequency and how you've grown in that sense. And you start realizing people that were here when you were fucking up are not in that space anymore. And even if you were to meet them today, you'd be like, I don't connect with you the same way.
I'm really curious because I've always been one of those people that looks at it more from like a scientific or biological viewpoint, where I think like, okay, whatever words or phrases we're giving ourselves, our neural pathways are building upon that and our synapses are forming, things like that. I've never looked at it as what we're putting out there, something is energetically bouncing back and then being given back. What are some things with manifestation that you've implemented in your life that you have felt have been rewarding?
That's a great question. I mean, and you're so right. You're so right. I think it has, look, there's this, I'm blanking on his name. It's making me crazy. It's going to come to me.
What are we looking for?
To me. He's a scientist that deals with energetic waves of how you can manifest based off of like science and not just like it being spiritual.
That. I'd be interested in that.
It's going to come to me. I don't remember his name right now, but I read his book and it's really talking about like how you can change your brain and you can change your actual like neuroplasticity because of your thoughts. And it's like wild how it works. You know how people are always like, oh, you have to think yourself healthy. Like if someone's really sick and they're like, take all this medicine and they're not working or whatever. And people are like, oh, I just used my energy to think differently and feel differently and my body healed itself. Like we are all Wolverine. We're all able to heal ourselves. It's just how we do it. and the belief we have that it's actually going to happen. I'm not perfect in any way where I'm like, oh, I only believe beautiful things when they happen. Like I've been in a terrible depression for the past few weeks because I was betrayed by my partner, and it's been a horrible hole to come out of, you know, but I think the beauty in it is where you're really like, I was like putty on the floor. Like I had never expected this to happen. I had such belief in this person, and I was deeply gaslit, deeply manipulated, abused by being told things that were complete pathological lies. And like I said, I don't blame him because he is living his life in the part that he's in. He can do only what he can do with the tools he has, right? But getting out of that and manifesting like a better life for myself, because now I'm like eating and sleeping and functioning, because before I was not. It's really about how you think about it, you know? And I tried to be as positive as possible, to be like, okay, like even though this horrible thing has happened to me and has crushed my whole life, if I see the positive things that are coming out of this, it's going to make me get out of bed. It's going to make me eat properly. It's going to make me not be sick. I was sick. Like I was in the emergency room, like I said, for pain in my stomach. And when I did all the tests, they're like, you're fine. You're totally fine. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong with
There's
me.
nothing worse than having a woman with a pain that's coming from somewhere and going to the doctor.
And
the
they're like, "You're
gaslighting
good."
you get from doctors is
wild.
so frustrating.
That's a whole other thing. It's wild. But the thing is like once that person was out of my mind and heart and life and room, it went away. It went away. And there was nothing. And I'm telling you, I couldn't like go to the gym. Like I couldn't put on tight pants. Like that kind of pain wasn't in my head, you know? And so you realize like manifesting it is really like a sense of, I believe in words you speak. I highly believe in words you speak. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always believe in like when you sing a song, particularly your emotion is connected with the word, you know, and it like amplifies your manifestation times 10.
Yeah.
Because I think when you say something and you like don't really believe it, you're like, like I look great today, but then you feel like shit. And you're like, I look great today. Or like, I'm so happy. And you're like fucking crying. You're like, I'm so happy. I feel great. It doesn't come across like that. You have to believe it in order for it to like click, I believe.
I started telling myself every single morning that I wake up. I didn't tell myself that I was going to start doing this. I just did it one day. I wake up and the first thing I put out into the universe is I have the best life ever.
Fucking love that.
Ever. Like, and I now believe it. Like I am unbelievably lucky and I built this. I'm lucky to even be here.
I have chills when you said that.
So good.
Because it's the truth and people forget it. Because for me, I was crying every day, right? I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. I was in a place where I was like, my life is a lie. Like everything I thought was real is not real. And here I am. But I'm like, I'm in a beautiful apartment. I have 2 puppies that I'm obsessed with. I have friends that I haven't seen in so long. And now I can see them because I'm like so excited to do things. I'm living in a new neighborhood and I can't wait to explore my neighborhood. I am now single, which is almost even cooler because now I can meet someone who's better for me, who actually has the same morals and values that I have. Someone who's not going to lie to me, someone who's going to respect me and cherish me the way that I cherish them. You know, it's like, look at all this opportunity. Look at all this beautiful life we have yet to live. And so if you remember that and you're like, I live in California. It is so sunny today. Even the smallest things, like the weather is gorgeous. How lucky are we? You know? Yeah. And I do that. And sometimes when I get in those ruts, I'm like, fucking my life. Shit, everything's going wrong. I'll write down 10 things. Just writing them down and then repeating them. Or I'll go to the beach and write them. I'll go on a hike and I'll sit there and write them. For me, nature is huge. Like if I'm not in nature, I get like anxious. When you get into nature, like everything kind of makes sense. You're kind of like, okay, this is life. This is the world. This is what it's about. And then you start writing. So just 10 things. It could be stupid things. I love that it's sunny today.
Yeah.
I love that my mom called me today.
Totally.
I love that the donut guy gave me my favorite donut. Or, or like my favorite donut was made to, whatever it is, my coffee, I have enough coffee today. What little baby things. And when you read it and say it out loud, you genuinely, your cortisol levels drop. Your, we're talking about like when you're in high stress, like there's, you have cognitive dissonance when you've been abused by certain situations, or like your amygdala has issues. Like so many problems are physical when it comes to
your frontal lobe, everything.
And it's so drastic that when you have those kinds of thoughts, and it all regulates.
Yeah, I mean, you have to find the silver lining in everything, right? I mean, and it goes back to, I feel like there's so many times, and manifestation I completely agree with, and how you talk to yourself is so unbelievably important. And it's the number one thing that I notice about other people is when they're talking about themselves, how they talk about themselves, the adjectives they use, I hate when someone says, I hope. I'm like, stop saying I hope. Just like say I will. Say I'm going to. Like
when I write down those 10 things, you always like, oh, do something you like your affirmations, what you hope to happen. You're like, I hope to, or I want to. Like I've removed hope and want. It's I am.
100%.
Oh,
I am. Like I hope to be, whatever on American Idol. And it's like, no, I am on American Idol, and I am singing my dream. I am singing. I want to be a singer. I am a singer. Little things like that. Where
100%. And people don't realize the power of that. Yeah, because it's like, again, when you go through anything really tough in life, the biggest thing it affects your confidence. And so after that, you have this little thought in the back of your head of like, is something else going to go wrong? When you go on a really good job interview, or you go on a really good date or whatever, there's that little thought in the back of your head of like, well, what's going to come that's going to shatter this for me, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where it's so important to talk to yourself and to tell yourself, hey, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good no matter what, whether the situation works out for me, whether it doesn't work out for me. It's so important how you talk to yourself, because again, we just live in this constant cycle of like really good things and then something that like shatters your life for a moment, and then really good things and then something shatters your life for a moment. And so
it's part of that spiral. But each time you do it, you're not doing it from this place anymore. Right. You're fixing your life from this place. And it's never ending. It's never going to not be that way. And that's what people are always like, oh, when it's better, when it's good, when I'm skinnier, when I'm this, then life will be good. No.
100%.
There's always going to be something you need to live for today.
I do want to say, I'm really sorry that you've been betrayed.
I appreciate that.
That breaks my heart for you, because you are sincerely very wonderful. And I know really good things are going to be happening for you. But I am curious, looking back on your relationship now, hindsight is 2020. Were there red flags? Of course there are when you think about it, but what were some of the not so obvious red flags that were popping up throughout the relationship?
That's a great question. And of course, after it's over, you start seeing everything. It's a puzzle. I see it as a puzzle. Like as you're getting to know someone, you have a piece, and you have another piece, and another piece, and another piece. And then when you're in the relationship, you're like, what a fucking gorgeous puzzle. I've been waiting for this puzzle my whole life, and you're so excited to do it. And then there are, of course, little missing pieces because you haven't spent, we were together for a year, almost a year. But it's like, as soon as the puzzle got like fucked up, like it broke, you start to see all the pieces that weren't in place. You're like, oh my God, I didn't see this, and I didn't see this, and I didn't see that. And that's where I started getting like really down on myself. Like, fuck, Natascha, you're smarter than this. You should have seen this earlier. How dumb are you? Like, I'm a smart girl. I've been through a lot of shit. I've been in relationships, mature. I'm a relationship girl, like I should have known better. I should have seen the things, but I'm getting off topic, but I read a quote. There was a quote from this girl that I follow that I absolutely love. She was like, you cannot live in like your fantasy land of what this is, right? Like you can only live about what you're experiencing. So if they're giving you words, actions where you're like, okay, I can believe this, you have to go from that. You can't always be like, where were you? What are you doing? Where are you going? Who are you with? I want to look at your stuff. Because then you're always living in the anticipation that something bad's going to happen, right? And you're not really enjoying the relationship or enjoying yourself. And there were so many moments where I was like, where the fuck is he? Who is he with? What is he doing? And I'm like, calm yourself down. You don't have any proof. You don't have any facts. He's just being shady. And you don't like, women
our intuition
are so powerful that we forget it sometimes. But our intuition, and for me, it's my stomach. It's straight in my stomach. I'll have like a stomach ache or a stomach thing, or I'll have to, and I'm like, why am I feeling this? And then you talk to yourself. You're like, everything's fine. Look, everything's fine. Like he called, he told you where he was going to be, da, 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 da. But you're like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I didn't listen to my gut the way I should have. And that's where I regret, because I'm like, had I listened to it, I would have been more. But then I think about that girl being like, you can't make decisions based off of things you don't know, right?
And we're also being told that we're insecure and we're crazy.
They're gaslighting you
exactly
at that time.
And we believe them because we're like, gosh, like, why couldn't I just trust him? He called.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think that's abuse. First of all, let's call it what that is. That's 100% abuse. People who do that that's them. That's their own issues. Like we can't, we can't change these people. They have to want to change themselves. So like let go and let God type of thing. But for ourselves and what we had to go through by being gaslit or abused or being told something that was 100% false and a lie and not true, it's like, okay, then that's when the cognitive dissonance is, because your stomach is your brain. Your stomach is the brain of your body, and we forget to listen to it. And I think that's the doctor I was talking to you about. I can't remember his name. It's going to come to me. Where it's like when you have connection between your brain and your stomach is when you are like functioning from a true place of who you are, you know? But the signs for me were so many that I tried to pay attention to. But what I realized the most about why I fell for them was because I was not in a secure place in my life at the time that we fell in love, right? It was like I was in this fight or flight mode. I was in the middle of moving. I was like, where do I go? I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I didn't have like the extreme confidence in myself of being like, this is my house. This is where I live. This is my schedule. This is how I work. And if you're going to come in, cool. And if you're going to do shady shit, don't be around me. But I was in a place where I was like, maybe I can just believe it and jump into it and close my eyes and fall in like a princess in a castle and be saved, you know? And he offered that. He was like, come, let's live together. I was like, you know, maybe that's a great idea. Maybe I'll get to really know him, you know? And I shouldn't have made decisions based off of a place that I wasn't fully stable in, like securely in my body first. So I think that allows us to get swept away sometimes when we're not in a place of security within ourselves, whether that be financially, spiritually, physically, mentally, whatever that is. I think a lot of that has to do with like women being able to be like, this is me, this is my life. I will take my decisions based off of what I feel, as opposed to like, I need help, or I need whatever it may be, because then you're feeling like, okay, this person can help me. They're offering something that's shiny and nice, like this beautiful life or this beautiful relationship that may not really be real.
I think a lot of us look for partners to help us write our story too. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that with a lot of my friends. It's kind of like, I don't know where the next move is. I don't know what my future is going to look like. Let me have a man help me write that future. They feel like it's more, they feel more solid in that.
Yeah, but that's such the wrong way to go. Like, we have to realize that, like, you know, when we're talking about like equality and all these things, like it's really about the fact that we need to be stable. Mm-hmm. Like women need to be stable in all areas of our life in order to not be taken advantage of by men who really, if they are, you know, predators or abusive people or toxic people, that's the only way. Totally. That's the only way. Because outside of that, you're going to fall for it, and there's nothing you can do about it until you're out of it, until you see it, and you're like, oh wow, I shouldn't have. You know, of course, love bombing is a big red flag. When someone's telling you that they love you within 4 weeks, they don't.
They don't know you.
They don't know you. It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah, they might have. You might be like a shiny new thing for them, so lust. They have an obsession for you. They have lust for you. They're excited about you. All of that's beautiful. You know, my personal. If I was to tell a girlfriend or something like that, I'd be like, don't sleep with them. Because I think for women and men is so different. You know, we have chemicals that we release when we sleep with someone where we feel like we can trust them, where we feel like we're bonded to them. And I think men don't have that. So we're able to be like, oh, I didn't see that red flag. Why? Because I felt like I could trust them. They were protecting me. They were, you know, and then you're in a slippery slope because you don't see them. You don't see the red flags anymore. So I think taking that time to really get to know someone before you have that like love affair of like sleeping together and living together, all that stuff is so important, because you waste years of your life and your health goes to shit.
Well, and with that too, if a guy genuinely, if you want to know if a guy is actually looking for a relationship or not,
you hold out.
If you hold out and he waits around, he's truly looking for a relationship. If he bounces, he wasn't looking for a relationship. Like, just, it is what it is, but don't take it that, like, again, that is such an easy sign. And to me, if if I go on a date or whatever and like very quickly she's down to have sex and things like that, I'm not interested, because to me, I'm like, again, I'm looking for,
Depends what you want and like, right?
yeah, I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for somebody that I'm going to marry. I'm looking for somebody I'm going to grow old with and start a family with and everything like that. And so to me, I want to know you before like, I'm not worried about those sort of things. So like those will figure itself out. I'm not worried about that, but I want to know who you are at your core, to know, is this somebody that I can see in my life for the long term? And so even going back though to one of your earlier comments, you were talking about the I guess like these thoughts that you have of you know, is he up to this? What is he doing right now? Where is he? Blah blah blah. The way that I look at it too is I just assume at this point that almost any girl that I talk to has been cheated on at some point in her life, or she's been lied to, or she's been manipulated or whatever, because unfortunately the sad state of where men are at in this world, like it's most likely true, right?
Fair assessment.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. And so the way that I go about things is, if you want to ask me any question that makes you feel more secure, ask me the question. I have no doubt, as long as you ask me that question with respect and, you know, and all of that, I have no problem with answering any single question. If you want to know who somebody is, if you want to know my relationship with them, I'll tell you exactly what it is, good or bad. You know, if it's somebody I've hooked up in the past, I will tell you. If it's somebody that I've been friends with forever, I will tell you. I'll tell you anything. But as long as you ask the question with respect, I'd rather you ask than wonder. And I think that to me is like, it's ignorant as somebody to believe that, like, I guess that like every girl who has these questions or whatever is, oh, she's crazy, blah, blah. No, she's been lied to in the past. So of course.
The thing I hate the most is when a person calls a girl crazy. I can't. I'm like, there's no such thing as a crazy girl. Someone has made her act a certain way, because women are not crazy. Okay.
100%.
I can't even tell you how many times. I mean, okay, it's been like 2, but like 2 different men have called me crazy in scenarios where I acted in according to the fact that they were cheating on me. So that I found out I was correct. My intuition was correct. I was not happy.
They have made you crazy.
They have labeled that psychosis, when in reality I was just picking up on the facts.
Okay. And the thing is, you see, you are an honest man who has an honest goal in what you are looking for, right? And you're being upfront, and you're like, look, if you have an insecurity, I want to know so I can help you fix that, right? That is empathy. That is vulnerability. That is a lot of things that people that are either narcissistic or toxic don't possess, right? Now, people who are narcissistic and or toxic learn, how do I get a woman to fall in love with me? Pretend to be empathetic, pretend to be vulnerable, pretend to be an open book. You think I didn't have my ex's password to his phone, or I didn't have his GPS? I knew everything. I knew where he was. I knew who he was talking to. But that's what I'm saying. They go out of their way to make you feel as though you can trust them because of however we feel, right? We're like, hey, there's something off that I don't trust. And they're like, here's all my stuff. Take a look. Meanwhile, they're professionals at hiding and lying, deleting, hidden messages, those messages that erase automatically, hidden photo folders,
The text in the calculator app, that whole thing.
What?
Oh yeah. So I had an ex. This was actually so ridiculous. I had an ex that cheated on me once show me and tell me about an app that people hide messages in, and he had the app.
I can't.
It was so dumb.
Because they try to be like, look at how swift and smart and quick. You just gave yourself away.
Yeah, it was so silly. I was like, dude. But yeah, that is a whole thing.
The thing is like you don't understand what it's like. But it's really hard for a woman to decipher between a man like you who's like, I just want you to feel safe and connected and feel protected with the fact that like you might have doubts or you might have a feeling, let me put that to ease, than a man who's like, let me continue abusing you and gaslighting you by telling you there's nothing going on. You're crazy. There's nothing going on. And you start to be like, okay, there's nothing going on. There's nothing going on. Like there's a difference in that. And it's so hard to decipher. And I think the only way to decipher it, which is what I was getting to when I was talking about earlier, is to be so incredibly grounded in who you are and what you, never being afraid to lose someone. Because we all have that fear. I think as we get older in our 30s, we're like, some people want families, some people might not, but it's still that feeling of we want connection and partnership, right? So it's like, we don't want to lose that when we think we found it, when we put all this time and energy in it, when we've invested our, resources and bodies and hearts and our families and our friends and our routine and with connections, all that's so much energy that we don't want to lose it, right? So it's that feeling of like, what can I do to make sure this is the wrong thing before I blow it up? right? So you stay in it and you're like, okay, I'm going to believe you. Okay, I'm going to listen. Okay, you want me to feel good? All right. And there's still that feeling in your gut where you're like, something's wrong. Something's still wrong. Something's still wrong until it happens. And that's what I was, for that quote that I have from that influencer that I love. Her name is Margarita Nazarenko. I love her. Anyway, she was talking about like, you can only act based off of what you know, right? You make those decisions based off of what you know. So when you find out something, in my case, one of the women reached out to me to tell me what had happened in their relationship.
Wait, shout out to her, by the way. If you know that you are with somebody who's cheating, or you know of somebody who's cheating on their partner, you have to tell the person. I think it's crazy that we are not at the point in society where that's like commonplace. The amount of times I hear from people of like, oh, I know this person's cheating, and like, I'm not telling their... What? Like,
a lot of people shoot the messenger.
Yeah, but fuck that. Who cares? Like,
it's scary. You have to give credit that it is scary.
Yeah, but like, if I knew that you were being cheated on, I would tell you in 2 seconds.
You're my
her
best
friend, and you would protect her.
But like, stranger.
No, but I'm saying with anybody, because if you were being cheated on, you would 100% want somebody to tell you. So you have to.
If it's your friend, 1,000% you need to do it.
When it's a stranger.
This was the girl who was cheating,
right?
With my partner. She was like, "Look, I have to get this off my chest. I have to tell you. Her reasons are her reasons, right? Of why she told me. Yeah. But I told her. I said, you saved my life.
Well, yeah, because if she hadn't told you, you'd still be living with him and all these things. It's like, that's why I'm just like,
We'd have gotten married. We were talking about all these things. Like, I told her, I was like, you saved my life. So at the end of the day, it's incredibly scary. And she was telling me that. She's like, I'm terrified. And thank you so much for being, like, I wasn't mad at her. I mean, I can't be mad at her, right? They did what they did. Those are the decisions. Her karma is coming to her. His karma is coming to him. I have no part of that. I can't tell her you're a terrible person. You're this. I even tell him he's a terrible person. He is who he is. She is who she is. They decided to do what they did. She knew about me. She continued to decide to do what she did. So me saying something doesn't change anything. It's just me now. Now I know. And now what do you do with information that's factual? You make decisions based off of what you need to do for yourself. You know, so I could have been in this fantasy of, oh, he's doing this or doing that. It doesn't matter. I didn't have what I needed. I didn't have what I needed to make the right decisions. And then as soon as you do have the right decisions, you have the facts and the information that you know something is going on. That's the time you can make the decisions that you make for yourself. And I did, and I made those decisions, and I will never look back from it. But, you know, I totally believe if you have a friend who you see or you experience or you've seen them out with someone else or you tell that person.
Absolutely.
See,
you have to.
I've told, like, I think bro code is one of the dumbest terms ever.
Oh, none of his friends told me that. I'm sure they knew.
And I think that's the most beta bullshit that you could ever do. If I knew that one of my best friends,
if they're all the same,
no, but then they're all terrible humans. Like,
that's my point.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like,
yeah, but like
they're all doing it to their partners. Maybe like, I don't know.
We have to change the way that men talk about bro code. If I know one of my boys is cheating on his girlfriend,
you wouldn't be boys with him.
Well, no, that's
my point.
100%.
You wouldn't be boys with guys that did that.
No, but I'm saying, let's hypothetically speaking, I'm friends with a guy. I find out he's cheating on his girlfriend. 1, I'm telling her, and then 2, I'm never talking to him again. Because if you can do that to the girl that you love, well, how the hell are you going to treat me?
That's
like, what are you doing behind my back?
That's hard because guys
compartmentalize so much.
Friends are so different than like partners, right?
Completely.
Like I can be friends with a guy. Most of my best friends are men. Straight men, you know, musicians or people that I've loved and worked with and I share beautiful friendships with that may not have been as great to their girlfriends as I would have expected them to be, right? They're still my friend and I'm still going to tell them, you fucked up. That was a fucked up move that you did. Don't do that to her, or don't do this, or you can give your advice as a friend, but you're not going to be like, you can't be my friend because you cheated on your girlfriend. Like,
oh, but that's the policy I have because I
love that for you.
I can't trust you. I just can't trust you.
Like, that's a beautiful thing, and people have heard about that in work relationships. Like, if there's a boss and their employee, and they find out their employee is having an affair on their wife or something, they'll fire them, being like, if I can't trust 100%. You to be faithful to your family and your children and your wife, how are you going to be faithful to our company and to me as a boss and to these things? So I've heard that before. I think it's very different, you know, what you accept. I understand people are human, right? We all mess up. We all have moments. There could be a night that you did and it's like, okay, well, how can you be better human? How can you get to the next level, right? And then there are people who are genuinely not good people.
Right.
And that's a difference.
Yeah.
You cannot go to the next level. You are destined to be here until you figure your shit out.
I mean, and I'll state this. I mean, the reason why I have the perception that I have, and I wish every guy had this same experience. My sophomore year of college, I lived with 3 women. And so what's typical for most men,
all our secrets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know the realities of what it's like for women, because typically as a guy, if you say something negative to a girl or something negative happens to her, whatever, you only see her reaction in front of you. That's the only reaction you see. Maybe you see the reaction she's texting you, things like that, but that's all you see. When you live with women that you're platonic friends with, you get to actually see how they actually respond to, oh, he called me this, he did this to me,
or if you're a brother and you have sisters, or
yeah, but even the tears.
But even your sister, it's like my sister. By the time she was dating, she's in college. I'm not living with her.
Like that,
I'm not living with her anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking. I was 20 years old, living with women, seeing what they were going through, and then going, well, how could I ever do something like that to a woman? Because I see how it affects her. So why would I ever want to do that to somebody else? And then my first year living in LA, I lived with 2 women. So I've lived with women and had so many platonic women friends. So as a result, I just have a deeper understanding, I guess, of like what women go through on a regular basis. And so I recommend to guys all the time, if you like, once you get to a certain age, it's harder to have, roommates in general. But if you're still in the younger age, like, dude, live with women. One, it's awesome. The place is always clean, and they don't have random people over at 4 a.m., which is
always maybe something cooking.
Cute.
Yeah, they don't throw ragers. I love that shit. I can't stand. I would never live with guys again. But
that's fair.
I'm great with all my guy friends. Never want to live with them. But again, it's just something you learn from living with women, from seeing them at a deeper level and things like that. And then I think as a result, then you look at those certain behaviors when somebody does something, and I'm like, if you're going to cheat on your partner, just break up with them. Like if you're out of love anymore, there's nothing wrong with
never
losing.
That easy for
but
those
that's
people.
not what it is.
Yeah, but it's
people
hard
who are
cheating.
No, it should be. I'm just saying, people never they overcomplicate things.
It's not. It's
so simple.
people, like you said, can only do with the tools that they have.
Yeah.
And so I think people who are consistently pathological cheaters or liars, they have an addiction, they have a personality disorder, they have issues that they haven't dealt with. They haven't dealt with their issues, and that has nothing to do with you, has nothing to do with who they've cheated on. It has everything to do with how they deal with their trauma and how they deal with what they've gone through. And you can't change that unless they change that, right? So
no, you're totally correct.
But I think with that, and that's why I'm so like strong on the whole, like, I won't be friends with somebody who cheats on their partner, or, not even just cheating. Like, if you verbally abuse her, if you physically abuse her, all those sort of things, for the simple fact of, I think the only way that people can actually change in life is if you lose something. You have to genuinely lose something that you care about. So if you care about me as a friend, and then you lose me because I'm like, hey, your actions I'm no longer cool with, so therefore I'm not going to be friends with you. And I mean forever. I don't mean temporary. I mean forever. You are out my life. And I hope you change from that, but you have to lose something. And I'm not going to watch you make an absolute, like, not even just a fool out of yourself. I'm not going to witness you continue to hurt somebody and just have me be like, buddy's my boy.
Or hurt yourself, because they suffer. Those people are suffering. And I have an immense amount of empathy for people who do that to people, because it's like, you're suffering. In order for you to hurt someone like that, that means you're not cool with you. Yeah. Like, there's an issue going on with you. And I feel bad for that person. I feel bad for those kinds of people, because it's like they have no other way to feel better besides doing what they're doing, to fill this void, to feel this hurt, to feel this, they need something to feel. It's like in a drug addiction, right? Like, you need to have that high to be like, okay, I'm good again. I've done that with a girlfriend of mine years ago in my 20s. She was a big drinker, a really, really big drinker. And I loved this girl. Like, we had the best time together. We would go out all the time. She was funny, beautiful, talented. Like, she was an angel, right? But when she would drink, she was a different human being. I didn't understand who she became. She was really dark, and it just was something I couldn't see her do to herself anymore, And then she started dating someone who was enabling that. He would drink just as much as her, and I'm like, I don't know if this person's healthy for you, And we stopped being friends over it. I was like, I just don't know if I can hang out with you if you're going to continuously put yourself in a position of like harming yourself and enabling other people to do that with you and around you. Like, we'd go to dinner, like a regular dinner at like 7:00, and like they'd get kicked out of the restaurant for like a situation. And I'm like, this is so not normal. Like, there's something going on here. And today she's sober and she has a family and she's so happy, and like, we've reconnected. you know? And it's just a beautiful thing. And it was so painful for me because I loved her, like one of my best girlfriends. And in order to be able to have people, you know, lose something or lose a friend or lose their lifestyle or what they've realized, they're like, okay, there's something needs to change. And I couldn't force her to change. My friends couldn't force her to change. She had to do it on her own, but there are consequences to your actions when you do things that are not healthy, right? And I think being around healthy people also that are like encouraging you to get better is a good thing, you know, because then you're like, okay. But I think people who aren't ready to heal are like, ugh, get away from me. Like I was this boring bitch who wasn't drinking with her. So she's like, I don't want to be around you. And I'm like, cool. Like we're not on the same frequency right now. And that's okay, you know? So I think that's the thing. Like you have to be so careful with people that are struggling or suffering, or their actions are all based out of fear actions, right? They're not doing what they're doing out of love. They're doing it out of fear. I don't want to lose this person. I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to not be loved. I don't want, whatever their reasons are, you know, you have to have empathy. And I think people like, you know, you particularly I've seen are very empathetic in those senses. You have to be like, okay, what can I do? And if you don't think I can do anything, then you know, I will love you from afar.
When you go into your next relationship, obviously your guard's going to be up, right?
Pray for me.
You know,
Pray for me.
Your guard's going to be up. So what are the signs that you're looking for, I guess, when you go into the next relationship to make sure that everything's on the up and up, that they are exactly the person that they say they are, you know, all these different things. And I know, again, you can only process what you experience and everything like that. But are there certain, I guess, you know, what Anna was talking about earlier, certain signs you're looking for, things like that, that maybe somebody who's listening right now can be like, oh, shit, I'm noticing some of these signs. Is there anything you're going to be looking for?
Yes. Okay. So for me, the most important thing is like, I'm not looking for signs. Like we're not out here trying to be detectives. Like as women, we're always like, I don't like the way he thinks that, or da-da-da-da. That's not about what this is. Like dating shouldn't be about like figuring out what's wrong with him. It should really be like being so close to who you are. And that's my journey right now. I am taking so much time to like spend time by myself. I'm spending time alone. I'm doing things that I missed doing. Like I love horseback riding, you know, so I'm taking time doing that. So I think once you find time to really heal yourself in all the ways that you're expecting someone else to fulfill you in, you don't even need to look for signs. It's going to be so fucking blatant in front of you. There's not like, you don't have to be like detective, you know, you'll just feel it. You'll just see it. You'll know it. You'll be like a fucking superwoman where you're like, no.
It'll be loud.
It'll be loud. It won't be like little signs. Mm-hmm. You know, I think when you're a little bit unsure of like what's going on in your life and who you are, you're trying to like feel wanted, needed, loved, appreciate all those things. That's when you get into the wrong spots. Mm-hmm. So yes, the signs will be someone who's equally on that level. You know, if you see that there's a frequency mismatch where they're like, I don't really know what I want. Bye.
Okay. See ya.
Good luck to you. Yeah, but it's like as simple as that. Like, okay, figure it out. And when you do, I'm sure you'll find someone who wants the same things that you do. If I was also like, I don't know what I want either. And he's like, I don't know what I want. Be like, great, we're on the same page. You know? So it's like you need to be so sure of like your page, what chapter you're on. And then be like, if you're not on that chapter, you'll see this person not on that chapter. Because you'll be like, oh, I live with 4 roommates and we party every night. And I'll be like, you're not on my page. That's totally cool. Please go find someone on your page and I'll continue. So I think that's the only thing I'd be looking for. You know, someone who wants to be on the page that I'm on. But I need to get on my page first when I'm like, this is my fucking page. Not like, which page should I be on today?
It's about you right now.
It's about me. And I think for any person who's looking to date, you should be dating when you're at that page.
100%.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was so great. I want to have you back on. I'm already thinking about it.
I love you guys. I'm so
There's
happy
so
we
many
did
more
this.
questions I have. But
Yeah. We definitely got
we have to wrap it up.
I know.
This is the only time we've ever had to stop. It's strictly because of time.
It hurts.
I
I'm
know.
so sorry.
That pain in my gut that we talked about is happening right now.
Don't let me go.
Doesn't feel right.
Don't let me go.
No, we definitely got to do this again. And but I will say one last, I guess, like closing thought on it from my end is that I think one of those things too is that if you do have that feeling in your gut of like something's not right, you can also just say to yourself, in this instance, I'm going to remove myself from this situation because I just don't feel comfortable when I'm with you. And to be fair, that's a good enough logic right then and there.
That is all you need.
All you need.
Right.
Only reasoning you need.
Look, for me, I needed proof at the time because we were living together. So it's hard to just break your life. And I get people who are married in these situations. People have children in these situations. But if you don't, and you're just dating this person and you have your life, if you have something in your gut, please trust it. Please believe it. We are so much more powerful and magical than we know. And that is our second brain. It is our first brain, really. And we need to trust it because that's how you build confidence. Because when you trust it and you're like, I knew it was right. I knew it. Then you have that confidence, like nothing's going to get past me because I already knew it. You know, that's confidence building, is trusting your gut. When you're walking down the street and you see someone funny walking on the other side and they're looking at you funny, cross the street because you have that feeling in your gut, you know. It could be as little as that, you know. And the more you trust yourself, the more confidence you build within yourself to then know that no one's going to fuck with you and you're going to be good.
Amen.
100%.
Love that. We're going to keep talking for 4 more hours.
Yeah. Definitely have to run this back because I feel like each of us, there's always times when I know that like I'll look over at Anna to see like, okay, do I think she has a question coming up next? And I'm like, I knew she had like 50 things that she wanted to say, and then I'm like, fuck, I want to respond to, and it's.
We'll do a part 2.
Feel free to like cut me off.
Well, no, you're doing.
Sorry, I like go into tangents, and then I'm
great tangents.
I go into like boop 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 boop. Just stop me. Be like,
Natascha. We can't stop when you're in that flow state like that. We don't want to stop you because it's a beautiful thing.
That's why we have this podcast.
100%.
So we'll do a part 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love all of it.
No kidding. So, well, hey, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll definitely run this back for part 2 because I feel like I still have 50 questions right here, but
I love this.
You know, this is how it goes sometimes. So
you're amazing.
Next time I'll bring like gluten-free cookies and we'll make it happen.
And
wine.
There we go.
We'll do all the fun things.
All the fun things.
There we go.
French wine.
There we go. All right. Well, hey, appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.